Good morning, and thanks for tuning back in. Welcome back to my channel, Coin Chief, where I aim to provide useful cryptocurrency news, information, updates, reviews, etc. to you. Uh, I'll ask right up front, if you find this content useful, please like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And please, if you find this content useful or compelling, please add me to a playlist or something. Watch as long as you can. Watch to the end. It certainly helps out the algorithm. Just like liking and subscribing helps me get in front of more eyeballs. Because getting started on YouTube is not an easy venture. You don't get views overnight. Uh, I'm still using my earphones with the microphone. I have a new microphone and some new lighting en route. It's not here yet, uh, but I am aiming to make this channel better every day. So I'm looking at how things are running and trying to make steady improvements, and that's really what life's all about. So, without further ado, I'm gonna jump right in. Um, so I woke up this morning. Price is, it's a bit of a there's some blood in the streets in regards to Bitcoin. We're at 31, 331.68. I try not to, obviously you don't want to see your portfolio go down, but that means one of my limit buys triggered last night, so I got a little bit more cheap. Oh well. Ethereum's at 1200. It's down a little bit as well, but you see Tether. We'll talk about Tether here in a second. Tether's up. Polkadot's up a little bit. Ripple down. Not really a whole lot of everything's mainly kind of tracks Bitcoin just due to market dominance. Uh, Global market cap is 940 billion. It's down a little bit overnight. Is what it is. Bitcoin dominance is still roughly about the same. And all right, we'll see where Bitcoin's at in regards to countries. We actually dropped below Mexico yesterday. That's going to change probably give it a week. Uh, Not a big deal, but all of these numbers guarantee you inflate a little bit in regards to comparing to companies. We were down 2 spots. Bitcoin's still new. It's volatile. Dropped below Alibaba and Taiwan Semiconductor. I project that to probably change once sentiment swings back the other way. Now, what I'm going to lead with today is not a news piece per se, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's kind of a cautionary tale on Tether. I will link this. It's an anonymous Medium article that I found last night while I was looking for news pieces to cover today. It's really interesting, and I think I think this person is onto something. It talks about Tether, whether it's pegged to anything, whether it's actually backed by dollars. If you are into crypto, you probably know that that's a big point of contention right now. I would recommend staying away from Tether, honestly, and any foreign exchanges for this reason. That's a It's a big point of concern that the rug could get pulled out from under you. So if you're a United States citizen, stick with exchanges that are fully accredited in the United States that can operate in the states. And I would just avoid Tether. That would be my recommendation, my personal opinion. I'm going to cover Tether on the channel in depth. I'm going to have to do a full video on it. One, because I don't understand it fully. It's a stable coin that's theoretically pegged to the dollar. It's always worth the same amount as a dollar. So you could, in theory, sell out of a position, park funds in Tether, and then jump back in when the price is right. But there's other stable coins out there too. You don't need Tether. There's USDC, which is on Coinbase. That's one of the big ones. That actually is backed by $1 for every USDC that is being held. But anyway, before I move on, I will link this article. and it's extremely long. That's it's basically an anonymous cautionary tale. Jumping right into the regular crypto news. All right, so you're gonna hear this name a lot. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. I don't know if she's still nominee, but I don't think she's been voted on yet. But you're gonna hear that name probably daily. It's gonna be constantly. All right. So Janet Yellen, Biden's nominee for Treasury Secretary, called for big action in her Senate confirmation hearing. Economists don't always agree, but I think there's a consensus now. Without further action, we risk a longer, more painful recession and long-term scarring of the economy later, Yellen argued. We all know this this means money, the money printer go burr, and one of my favorite websites here. Okay, but moving on. So CoinDesk appears to think that some of the sell-off recently is over bearish sentiment and Yellen worries. Makes for a good headline. You don't know. They don't know that. They say Bitcoin's price slumped by around 5.6. This is a little bit old, so it's actually slumped a little bit more than that since then. Slumped by around 5.6% in the past 24 hours, thanks to some Asian traders taking a short-term bearish view and concerns that the new Biden administration in the U.S. will seek to put a damper on cryptocurrency use. Once again, you don't. I wouldn't take the position that they're trying to ban cryptocurrency. I don't really think they have that ability. They can make it more difficult, but like I've said, and you'll see this as a repeated theme, they're not going to be able to get rid of Bitcoin entirely. They may not like it because it threatens the traditional Keynesian fiat way of doing things, but as long as they get their cut, that's what their main concern is. So, moving on. All right. The okay, there was a proposed rule by the previous Treasury Secretary uh, to they wanted to track money going into unhosted wallets. Unhosted wallets in this case meaning if you have a Trezor or a Ledger that the initial proposal was every transaction going to that if you pulled money out or you pulled crypto out of any exchange, say, and sent it to your own personal ledger or Trezor, that the exchange would have to track that by name. Um, that kind of was modified to a higher amount of crypto, $3,000, but even that's on hold now. So I think that's a good thing. A lot in crypto don't want it to be tracked at all. But I'm of the personal view that crypto is going to have to be treated the same as fiat, meaning if you pull out a large chunk, that's going to have to be reported. So I think it's $10,000 a day. Put it on the same playing field as the dollar. Treat it the same, and then that's I personally believe that's fair. And we're going to move on. I'll cover this briefly. I'm not an expert on Yearn Finance, but this is Yearn Finance is minting. They plan on minting some more tokens. Uh, so Yearn Finance wants to mint some more tokens, and they one of the quote here is, "Let's not be Bitcoin. The idea of hard caps for startups is very romantic, but not necessarily the best execution path for minimal value," one of the participants in their governance forum said. But not everybody there likes it. Um, so one person said, "I have observed the inability for the Wi-Fi project to detach itself from Lord and Savior Andre and find its own path. He said he's leaving. When other users chimed in, they said, sorry for you to leave, but glad that people with that sort of attitude towards our builders are gone. This kind of thing's happened in Bitcoin before. It's led to some hard forks, led to some other tokens. Remains to be seen how it will affect Yearn Finance. I don't invest in it. If you do, I would be, concerned about it at least. But Yearn Finance, it had late last year, it had a hard cap of I don't know how many coins, but the price went way up, and that brought it into my attention. It's kind of calmed down since then, but it's something to keep an eye on. And moving on, in investment news. All right, BlackRock has two funds that they've given the go-ahead to invest in Bitcoin futures. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager with $7.81 trillion under management, appears to have granted at least two of its funds the ability to invest in Bitcoin futures. The prospectus filed with the SEC Wednesday indicated that BlackRock Global Allocation Fund and BlackRock Funds V are at least eyeing Bitcoin. They both include the world's oldest cryptocurrency on their list of derivative products cleared for use. Now that's newsworthy because before that they never mentioned Bitcoin, but this is something that appears to be changing fast in the investment world. Funds are starting to come around to the idea of adding some Bitcoin to the portfolios. So keep an eye out for more stuff like this in the future. All right. And some more investment news. CoinShares offers institutional on-ramp with physically backed Bitcoin ETP, which is an exchange-traded product. Today, digital asset manager CoinShares announced the launch of CoinShares Physical Bitcoin and ETP, with each unit backed by on-chain BTC. The product will carry this ticker symbol BITC. So that's going to be yet another ticker symbol to look out for once it's out there and is tradable. BITC will be the first product released on CoinShares' new institutional grade ETP platform and will launch with significant assets under management, according to a release. Each unit is backed with 0.001 Bitcoin at launch, providing investors with passive exposure to Bitcoin and the convenience of an exchange-traded product. Okay, this will be on the Swiss Stock Exchange. Not sure if it'll be available in the States or not, but it's adoption, right? It's just more and more adoption. All right, in FUD news, FUD Buster news, I should say. All right, found this article interesting last night. It's titled, Stop the Bitcoin FUD. Criminal cryptocurrency transactions are falling. Exactly. All right, and I highlighted here, despite a 2020 that saw the price of Bitcoin rise to all-time highs and set new records for stability, it isn't too difficult to find Bitcoin FUD. For those of you who knew, that's fear, uncertainty, and doubt being spread. But recently released blockchain analysis demonstrates that the, quote, Bitcoin is for criminals, unquote, narrative is weaker than ever. The article goes on to mention, Janet Yellen had mentioned that it's, needs to be kept an eye on because of illicit activities being funded, and the European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde said something very similar. And it says, even some industry-focused publications have been spreading the Bitcoin is for criminals FUD without acknowledging the fact that criminals have been using fiat cash for much longer. All right. Anyway, according to a summary blockchain analysis from Chainalysis, that's a mouthful, 2021 crypto crime report, the proportion of cryptocurrency-related crime fell significantly last year. In 2019, criminal activity represented 2.1% of all cryptocurrency transaction volume, or roughly $21.4 billion worth of transfers, the firm found. In 2020, the criminal share of all cryptocurrency activity fell to just 0.34% or 10 billion in transaction volume. I think it's going to get, this is personal opinion, I think it's going to get harder and harder for criminals to use crypto for, as it matures, as addresses are tracked, for criminals to use it, because it's a lot more difficult to launder money through a fully digitally tracked, where every transaction can be tracked back to its origin, unlike with fiat, where you can there's all kinds of money laundering ways. You've probably watched any movie where money is laundered, through the mafia or whatever. It's just not that easy with Bitcoin. It's all digital. Everything is trackable, and I just don't see it. So this trying to put a stop to some of that FUD, but we'll see if it works. All right, and back to FUD news. Barclays private bank chief market strategist says Bitcoin is almost uninvestable. Imagine that. A traditional money person doesn't think that you should invest in Bitcoin. Meanwhile, probably in the background, this person is buying up as much as he can while he's crapping on it in this article. So I'll read a little bit to you here. Bitcoin's bull run peak of nearly 40,000, and I'm going to inject my personal thoughts here. We are just starting the bull run. This is not the bull run peak. So that tells you where this article is coming from. Caught the attention of many institutional investors, but Barclays private bank chief strategist Gerald Moser doesn't seem impressed. Shocking. While it is nigh on impossible to forecast an expected return for Bitcoin, more opinion, not true. We'll cover that in some more in-depth content later. You absolutely can project it. Its volatility makes the asset almost uninvestable from a portfolio perspective. He also adds that the volatility seen in Bitcoin mimics the behavior of other risk assets like oil. All right, enough of reading this guy's quotes. Bitcoin is fully backed by math. There's tons of metrics out there. There's a completely finite amount of Bitcoin out there, so it makes it a lot easier to forecast where it could go. I will cover some of these methods and gentlemen and sites and techniques in later videos, but rest assured you can project where it's going to go, and there's some individuals that have done a very good job and have been very accurate. In regards to its volatility, look, it is a brand new asset class. It is digital scarcity built on cryptography. It is brand new. Just consider that it's still in price discovery mode. That's all you need to know. We're not anywhere near a stable price yet, and probably won't be for many years. But what that means for you is if you get in now at any point, I believe in the next couple years, your investment is gonna appreciate significantly. I don't want to rant for forever about that, but I'm gonna move on. But I will cover price projection for Bitcoin specifically in some later videos, especially in regards to stock to flow and things like that. All right. So Ethereum's been in the news a lot. Um, it's recently cracked its all-time high of around $1,400. It's back down to what did I say earlier? So it's at 1220 right now. It'll go back up. But here we go. Ether Ethereum. I hate when they shorten it to Ether. The second largest cryptocurrency could climb more than sevenfold to 10,500 after reaching a record this week, according to Fundstrat Global Advisors. The strategist's prediction is based in part on the popularity of the related Ethereum blockchain for so-called decentralized finance applications. They've also made progress towards a network upgrade, which would allow it to process a similar number of transactions to MasterCard and Visa. So if you're not familiar with decentralized finance, that's something else I'm going to have to cover later on in this channel. Ethereum is used to, those applications are built, a lot of them are built on top of Ethereum. That's where its value comes in. So I've been hearing a lot of Ethereum news lately, especially in the past week when Bitcoin's price has been kind of flat. Ethereum has gotten a little bit more headlines. So just throwing this out there to kind of shed some attention on that fact. And for my final piece of news, so I've noticed the Motley Fool, and if you're not aware, the Motley Fool is they're more of traditional investors, traditional investing advice, stock tips, that sort of thing. I found this article last night that says forget Bitcoin, buy this blockchain and stock instead. So there's a narrative amongst some of the haters out there, if you will, that blockchain, not Bitcoin. Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit of what he says in this article. Now, Bitcoin is apparently digital gold, a store of value that can protect investors from inflation. Like real gold, there's a finite quality of Bitcoin. First off, time out. There's not a finite quality of gold. We haven't found all the gold that exists, and we may never find all the gold that exists in the earth. If we find gold on the moon, what then? You see what I'm saying? There's no more Bitcoin is going to get mined on the moon or is going to pop up out of nowhere, out of a vein in the Earth's crust. Anyway, back to the article. But unlike real gold, there are an infinite number of potential competitors. Okay, name one that's worked out so far. Cryptocurrencies are a dime a dozen, and there's nothing special about Bitcoin other than its name recognition. I look. I'm going to have to interject again. Many have tried, many have failed. It's really that simple. Like I've said before, I'm gonna cover some of these uh, attempts, some of these hard forks in later specific videos. Uh, go over the history of what happened with them. Nobody's done it so far. All right, so this article goes on to recommend. So his whole point is IBM is a market leader in blockchain services. Really? So to me, this is more FUD. Uh, it's just really terrible. I'll read this for you, and I'm gonna wrap it up. The global market for blockchain related products and services is expected to grow from a mere 3 billion last year to nearly 40 billion in 2025, according to projections from Markets and Markets. That estimate could be way off base, but explosive growth is certainly a possibility. The banking and financial services industries are expected to account for the largest portion of the spending over the next 5 years as blockchain technology, note that he made sure to say technology, is used to secure transactions. I I really don't know what else to say. Uh, I imagine I will be covering this kind of news probably at least once a week in the future. IBM. Okay. All right. I'm going to wrap it there, folks. Once again, thanks for watching. If you find this content useful, give me a like. Keep coming back. I'm going to keep pushing out content daily. I'm going to keep striving to get better, provide better content. If you have anything specific you want to see covered on this channel, drop me a comment. Uh, Appreciate it. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.